My name is Joshua Dardoch Hartnett. I am the jungler for UST. I'm a freshman. From 2016 to 2020, I was playing in LCS. I wasn't getting opportunities I was that crazy about. I coached for a little bit on IMT and then decided I fit more as a player, but because of my break to coach, it was kind of out of the realm of possibility for me to just instantly re-enter competitive play as a player. So I thought collegiate, it's a good stepping stone for me to not only get, better myself in the future with my education, but also put myself in a position as a player so people know that that's where my mentality is. It's been the talk of collegiate kind of the whole year since I joined that UST is looking to run it back and do the championship again. I always was fascinated by the concept of like being the royal roader, like people joining a season and then just winning it outright in the very first time they play in it. So that to me would be cool. I just want to be known as one of, if not the best collegiate player to touch the scene. And I think that was kind of already understood to a certain degree when I joined the league, but I just need to keep proving that.
Some pretty interesting perspective there out of Dardoch, somebody who has played at a lot of levels of professional League of Legends and making his way towards collegiate, thinks it's a valuable path to pro, and we're seeing how dominant he is here. That first win for UST looking good.
Yeah, and he did so well in the early game as well, right? We got to see that even with the invade that Winnie went for, Dardoch was able to turn it around and get a huge lead right off the bat for UST. But after that, start becoming a different game, right? We know that at the very end, the guy we've been setting up is the one who says, I won the championship all by myself. Shogo was able to clutch it out in the end, but we do have a big word coming through from their opponents. SLU, they don't think Shogo is actually all that good, and SkyTec in particular is saying, you should probably stick to tweeting, my dude. And
you saw St. Louis bottom lane, they were able to match Shogo at least a little bit in that mid to late game. AIRREN specifically having a great game on that Jinx in that first matchup that these two teams had. This is somebody who we thought Shogo would have the advantage over. Not so fast. AIRREN's been playing really well.
And it's kind of interesting to note, right? We weren't necessarily super hot on the way that AIRREN was playing going into this event, right? We had mostly recently seen him on CLG Faith in the Challengers League, where he had some good moments, he had some other moments, and it was an opportunity for him to potentially grow. But having moved on to SLU, it feels like a team where he is more comfortable playing around, and they set up for him to have a lot of success, and he was so close to getting them over their finish line.
And that Jinx looked really good, but unfortunately, he will not be piloting it here in game number 2. It was taken away by SLU, who are on the red side for this game. It seems to be the preferred side select for teams on patch 13.9, and we'll see if we see any differences here in the pick and ban.
Yeah, I mean, with already a bunch of AD carries being banned away, it kind of feels as though Shogo is being pushed towards either a Kog'Maw or an Aphelios, and SLU can pick which one they want to give over at this point. They were very early on banning the Kog'Maw in the first game, but it is going to be, it's the forced Melio ban, so it's dealer's choice.
It looks like they're going to pick neither. Shogo happy to go either direction, right?
Probably not, but it is still coming through, right? This was one of the few champions that Winnie had a 100% win rate on during the Challengers League here in spring. It is going to be a denial pick there, and it kind of forces Winnie towards some of those other picks, right? It's typically been Vi that we see into the Maokai throughout the past split, but now with that already banned, I'm kind of expecting that Winnie might go towards a Maokai who just does okay, or goes towards a Wukong who just does okay into the Maokai.
And AIRREN on another big carry. Without the Jinx, the Aphelios next target. We saw the Kog'Maw banned away on St. Louis' side in game number 1. Do you think Shogo goes for it here? It's a pick that we haven't seen too often in the meta.
It's possible, right? There's still a lot of opportunities left, and one of the things we know about Shogo is they are so able to shift to all kinds of different playstyles at the drop of a hat, and they've already set themselves up, right? UST knows that SLU loves going for a lot of these big engages, but I've had a lot of personal experience recently where somebody picks a Maokai where it's like, we can't fight at all, and now it is going to be the Kog'Maw coming through right away for Shogo, and this is the quintessential front-to-back style of composition we love seeing. I'd be a little bit surprised that the Morgana gets locked in, but it does provide a lot of safety for the Kog'Maw.
Talk about Winnie being a big playmaker, trying to engage in onto UST. I mean, having that Morgana would be a little bit more difficult, but instead, the classic combo, Kog'Maw Lulu. Juggernaut, not necessarily a thing that we've seen when Shogo has been in the league, but if he fits the playstyle nearly to a T.
Yeah, wow. when you have the opportunity as a Kog'Maw to just walk up into the face of the enemy, you're going to be in a fantastic position. I can think of no AD carry I'd rather have with that kind of power than Shogo in this event. And so, as we start looking towards this, we gotta see what it is that SLU wants to do to create some pressure going up against Shogo. One of the issues that you oftentimes have against Kog'Maw is pretty long range. You don't have a lot of ways to really punish that from distance, and instead, it is going to be SLU saying, we're not going to. We're just going to jump on top of, then we go back to the Maokai, right? That's going to be a huge problem. How is Winnie going to be able to get in on this?
Overall, it seems like UST have set themselves up for success in these first 3 picks. The Annie worked well for Strompest in getting them over that hump, back into the driver's seat for at least a little bit in game number 1. And we'll see if he's able to do it again in game 2.
Yeah, and behind them, of course, we did see Doxa, previous mid laner coming in for SLU, and then Vital came in, that pushed Strompest back down. It was get even more support coming through, but there is so many opportunities here. It is so much power.
Y'all making me blush on stage. This is crazy.
There's still so many opportunities here for Strompest to kind of strut their stuff. We saw a couple big ultimates from Strompest in game 1. We're going to need to see that once again, because if you can layer that with Winnie's ultimate, you can prevent Shogo from getting any damage out except his passive throughout the entire course of the fight.
Just find it funny, like Shogo, all of his damage being the passive damage.
Wow, he did a lot of true damage this game.
True damage, but that kind of damage, you might as well try to maximize that, right?
Yeah, for sure. But now, as we are already starting to see it, we are seeing it's a huge committal coming out from SLU. There's 3 engaged champions. You have the Wukong, you have the Rakan, you have the Annie. Every single one of them wants to go forward.
It's full engage for SLU, and this Rakan for SkyTec is huge for him. Got back to a really high position on the ladder when he started off at UWO with Winnie by being a terrific Rakan player. The engages on this champion, kind of hard to find at points, but
yeah,
when you're as proficient on this champion as SkyTec is, it gets pretty easy.
Yeah, and as we see, this Olaf is getting locked in towards the top side for Porsche. It is going to be really stifling a lot of the things that Vital does like to actually play up in this top side of the map, right? Vital is oftentimes known as playing things like the Gangplank, the Fiora, the Yone in particular come to mind, and Olaf really stops all of them from being super effective. And now the question will be, what does RobbyBob actually want to be blinding here?
Whoa!
Whoa!
Okay.
Pantheon! Steve, I know you're here in the crowd. This Pantheon, I mean, I'm actually trying to figure out exactly where they're going to be trying to put it, right? Both the Olaf and the Pantheon, you normally think of it at top laners, but RobbyBob had a lot of success on Galio when he was playing in the Challenger scene.
So on Team Fish Taco in the NACL qualifiers this spring, Dardoch did play some Olaf jungle, so we could see Porsche taking this Pantheon up in the top lane, or maybe the Pantheon in the jungle. A very surprising pick, especially with the first 3 coming through. Yeah. But it's going to be Pantheon in the mid lane. For
wow. That is a lot of opportunities to just jump on people. That's a lot of point and click crowd control already coming out for UST, and we were saying how difficult the dive was going to be for SLU already into the Maokai. They're creating even more pressure, and with the final pick coming through, it is Vital going on to the Gwen. I mean, the Gwen's pretty decent into the Kog'Maw because they can't really hit you, but I'm really struggling to see how this team actually is going to be able to get in on top of Shogo and make them uncomfortable. They're going to have to split the map. They have to create so many different opportunities on the sides. That was something that UST was kind of running them around in game 1.
And now with this composition, St. Thomas able to generate so much space just by running forward as St. Louis. You know, they have the Olaf, the Pantheon, the Maokai throwing out the Nature's Grass. Shogo's gonna have so much space, and with Daption's Lulu by his side, I would not be surprised to see him take the stage and be the MVP again in game 2.
The one other thing we do have to kind of talk about that we haven't even touched on, right? Maokai is so good at stifling all of these engages with the ultimate, but they also give you free vision over so much of the map. And when you look at this composition coming up from SLU, it is so reliant on trying to find some of these big flank angles, the flangles, if you will, in order to make sure that they can put Shogo in an uncomfortable position. And now, it's like, oh, where are they? I don't see their mid laner. Throw a child in there.
Just hops back into the back line, and it's just so easy. Kind of an unconventional Kog'Maw comp, but it seems to like make sense, at least in my head. We'll have to see it on the Rift.
I'm fascinated by the Pantheon pick, I must admit, right? This is something where RobbyBob was kind of known for some of his AD mid laners, I mean, a while ago, but Pantheon was not one that really came to mind, and this is going to be one of those opportunities where I feel like it has to be prepared counterpick to the Annie, right? You have this way to just stop all of that burst up front, and if you can get that off, you will prevent a lot of pressure. But SkyTec going for something fun.
Here we are, onto the Rift for game number 2. St. Louis trying to even that series count at 1. Dardoch doesn't know that SkyTec came behind with the grand entrance, and now with 3 members of SLU running forward, it will be SkyTec catching him out. Already forcing the flash, and the stun lands from Strompest as well. Dardoch's in a whole lot of trouble. Here comes another summoner, and first blood secured for SLU.
Okay, I love this idea coming through for SLU, right? They are so aggressive in their early games, and normally they go for all kinds of invades. They love playing their opponent's side of the jungle, and this time they already find the first blood going over here towards Strompest, who needs to be strong again. But the big thing is that we do see Winnie is going to be going back towards their own side of the jungle, and Dardoch, they will have a ward on his blue buff, but they don't exactly have a great read on where everything is going to be going.
Well, UST maybe not happy about giving up that first kill, but let's see how they are feeling right now. Hawk is standing by with UST's coach AIRREN for a quick word.
Thank you very much, Grapes. I am in the analyst desk, joined by the coach, AIRREN. So game 1, maybe a little bit spicy. Things didn't exactly go according to plan. Did you feel any adaptations were needed coming into game 2?
Well, we're wiping the sweat off our brow game 1, so we were thinking about getting rid of the Annie just because it's a noob champ. You know, you can press flash, you can press R on us, whatever. But since they gave us the Maokai, we were feeling a lot more confident. With Maokai and Sapling and just the zone control he provides, we were okay with letting them have something more similar to that they want to play team fights against us, but we're the better team fighters. As long as we can mark the Annie, then we'll be okay.
And I saw you pick the Pantheon into it. Is this like the answer?
It's a RobbyBob special, you know. He's something that he likes. It's something that he's pretty confident on. We've had pretty good success on it in the past, and we were looking for AD options and they banned the Jace, and this is something that Robbie is really confident on.
Love it. RobbyBob special to counter the noob champ. Back to you guys.
But where's the Zed? Where's the Zed?
We want the
coming
Zed,
through?
man.
Still, I mean, the Pantheon is going to be really cool. We'll see if the specialty pick will actually have anything, but Winnie is going to be coming across Dardoch here. Neither of them have any flashes, and Dardoch, just as we saw Winnie having to give ground earlier on in game 1, is going to have to be giving over some ground to Winnie here as well. But as soon as we say that, RobbyBob has got so much prio, infinite prio as a Pantheon, already creating up space.
It's the same thing that we saw in game number 1. Dardoch was able to get ability to invade and control the river because Shogo and RobbyBob were able to get prio, push their lanes out, and there's a blue buff steal for the UST jungler.
Yeah, giving the okay as well as they do back away. Do spot Winnie as they move their way on over towards the frog, and it definitely feels as though UST, they came into this with a bit of a plan, right? The way that Shogo and Daption were pushing around AIRREN and SkyTec in the bottom lane has created a lot of pressure on AIRREN and SkyTec, and now as this wave is kind of frozen, it is going to be very difficult for this SLU bottom lane to find a whole lot of success going forward.
Looking at Winnie here, taking this bot lane scuttle. Going to be spotted on a ward shortly, but we'll see if Shogo and Daption are able to get away in time. SkyTec not in range for that grand entrance just yet, so it will be Winnie backing off, and again, just really well played by Shogo and Daption. Does give AIRREN and SkyTec, though, a little bit of an angle back in.
Yeah. And I love how Shogo is the one who walks forward toward that, right? I mean, he's the one who's going to be getting the shields and all the extra buffs, but now having spotted out Winnie on the bottom side of the map, they're going towards the Raptors and they're spotting him out.
Oh yeah, there comes the stun already. Vital doing a big chunk of damage as well. Remember, Dardoch still does not have flash from the start of the game and will go down easily to Strompest.
He was running the game in game 1, but he's running game 2 in a very different way as they are catching him out, going for the cross map invade. Great read coming through from SLU, and look at that, Vital's going to be going top lane. He's not even going to be missing hardly anything as the wave will be crashing there. Great rotation coming out from the red side.
We're already seeing such a reinvigorated early game out of St. Louis. Now even AIRREN and SkyTec getting some prio, and another kill might be coming here. Winnie looking for a gank top lane. Vital has to, catch up a little bit because of the portion. Now AIRREN gonna be locking down to the flash over, and the St. Louis bottom lane gets the first kill. Shogo on the Kog'Maw though has a lot of damage, picked up the first kill on AIRREN. SkyTec does not win this 1v1 and will have to run for the hills, but can he against Shogo? Already another flash being blown.
Wow, a 2v2 coming through. Both AD carries walking away with a kill, but Shogo is still going to be in lane afterwards to get all that experience, and we missed it in the mid lane with Strompest very nearly killing RobbyBob. It looks as though the specialty pick is getting put on the back foot, and I know there's some people in the audience who will really know that Panther will really struggle when you start getting put behind. You don't have a whole lot of damage. Instead, you become so much more about that point and click stun later on in the game. And RobbyBob, I mean, we know him as a control mage player for a reason. That's what he's comfortable at. I haven't necessarily seen him go for these more aggressive plays on a lot of these mid laners in a long time.
And we'll see if he has the ability to go a little bit more flexible here in this game. Of course, a very different style than what we're used to out of Robbie, but he's been around for a long time. He's been through every meta. He's played probably every champion at this point in the mid lane.
Oh yeah, I remember playing like ARAMs with him, and he would always beg for Rengar whenever we would get it. And he would spend the entire game meowing immediately afterwards. So, you know, he plays a little bit of everything as they go for it. There's the ultimate.
Nice chunk here. Blocking a lot of the Tibbers damage.
I always loved that, like, the wind wall and the shield, just all the times where the damage would be coming through that it just doesn't. But now it is Dardoch down here on the bottom side, and now trying to create a little bit of pressure, creating a little bit of vision. And SLU, they have enough priority once they push out this wave to actually potentially go for this dragon. Winnie is already hitting it.
And actually, it's AIRREN and SkyTec now gaining that priority just a little bit until Shogo and Daption try to fight back. As I say that, SkyTec chunked out a little bit, and that forces Winnie out away from the pit.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing that we always got to be looking at is, can Shogo just walk up and do damage? And right now, the answer is absolutely yes. Is Winnie?
Oh, St. Louis kind of want to fight this, but they're going to lock down Winnie so easily. Dardoch just absolutely dominating that fight in the river as Winnie goes down.
Never seen a fight he doesn't like. That's definitely one. Strompest didn't have ult. He's missing a huge chunk of the actual damage. It's hard to hit Dardoch with everything because he just goes intangible for a couple of seconds. That is going to be a kill going right on back towards Dardoch. I know what it is. They're resetting his gold bounty.
That's a good strategy. As a Scion player, I know just the thing. That's what you do. You reset the bounty. The gold will be even at this.
Yeah, but still, a bit of a rough spot as now they're fighting SkyTec. Oh, just kidding.
Just a little bit. They fought a little bit.
Yeah, you know, a little bit of a tickle.
Sibling rivalry, maybe.
Sibling rivalry?
Well, not like a real fight, or like your real fight.
Okay.
A little push and shove here.
Yeah, I was like, is there a lore thing?
No.
Players I don't know about. There is a lore thing that we haven't brought up as well, is the fact that last time AIRREN even made it towards like the Cleave Championships, he was playing up against Winnie in the Western Ontario. I believe that was top 16.
Yeah, I know Meslin Coulter out there in the audience.
Grandview University representing.
But yeah, as we mentioned in game one, it's just him being so close to getting to this stage, now finally having this opportunity. Needs to put up a big fight against Shogo in the best of 5, and so far has been playing pretty well, staying even in CS, at least through the first 8 minutes of playing phase.
Yeah. And now we're starting to get into the really dangerous part of the game for SLU, right? Because RobbyBob does have access to that ultimate, they can be anywhere they want on the map. So you see Prio in the mid lane coming out for Strompest, like, okay, well, he's going to be losing a wave, but he can still go for this big fight. And look at this, a 3v3 brewing.
Oh, wow, here they go. Here comes the ulti out of RobbyBob. Vital, maybe in range to be getting locked down, but there comes the W, doing a lot of work. Big Bramble Smash out of Dardoch, now a 2v3, but now Strompest on the way, has the flash, has the Tibbers, and will find this target straight onto RobbyBob. He's on a killing spree, the mid laner for SLU going off.
Yeah, coming up really big, potentially looking for Dardoch, another stun.
There we go, here we go. Another kill towards Strompest, the original member for SLU. Here since the start of the program, with every single kill almost in this game for his team.
What was it that Aloran was saying? Noob champ? Yeah, you know exactly what's going to happen. It's got the stun. You can see it on the board. And now that's the second time they both just walk into it. And that's going to be another kill. Dardoch's third death of the game as another player. This guy has been around for so long. He's fine. He's been around for such a long time. He's been playing since he was like 13. And now Strompest is in a dominant position for this game. He's the one who's going to be looking for Shogo and Daption. And when he starts getting all this damage through, he will be able to burst through all the shields that Daption can actually fight.
And an interesting note about the compositions here, saw Vital play a big role in that fight. Could have pretty easily been locked down, but bought so much time with that hollowed mist. A lot of the crowd control from long range that UST had was not able to land onto the Gwen.
Yeah. As we take a look at this, it is going to be UST starting up the Dragon, the first one of the game, 10 minutes in, and they are going to be taking it down uncontested. Still, a very narrow lead coming through for St. Louis University, and I'm actually really impressed, Braves, about how well AIRREN and SkyTec have been standing up. It feels like they've been losing every single trade that they've been going for with Shogo and Daption, but they are still farming bang on even. We've seen SkyTec moving around a little bit more, and he is still doing A-okay. And so, if you can get Aphelios to like 3 items, a lot of people think Kog'Maw is like an infinitely scaling champion, but realistically, he kind of caps out around 2 items, and then after that, it's just, well, he does infinite damage, but it's like, he already did that, right?
Yeah.
So now the big question is going to be is, how many items can AIRREN get underneath his belt? Because he's a character that's so focused on bursting people out. I mean, to quote from Kelsey Moser, you just Kai'Sa all over someone and they're dead. But Aphelios does the exact same thing. He Gale forces forward, he ults, and haha,
okay.
we have lethality.
It took me a second. I got it at the end of the day. As now SLU looking for another play towards Porsche. Nice job by the Olaf to clear out the entirety of the wave, but the Rift Herald has been procced up in the top lane tier 1. SkyTec and Strompest both here as well. Watch RobbyBob and the rest of UST trying to approach. Vital coming in. Porsche has to buy as much time as he can, but it will be Winnie picking up the 6th kill of the game for St. Louis. And RobbyBob goes back to mid knowing there's no play.
Yeah, I mean, great stuff coming out from St. Louis, trying to take down the Olaf because it is a champion that can run through so much, giving over a lot of money here towards Vital. But on the other side of the map, UST trying to prevent AIRREN from running in.
There's the Moonlight Vigil, doing a little bit to try and chunk Olaf. The teleport coming to Strompest. Doesn't have the stun, it's ready on to Daption, but here comes RobbyBob. And he is shut down by Robert Bobbert. A big chunk of gold going his way. UST find a big chunk of gold.
That's a huge shutdown. We were saying this was a dangerous part of the game for SLU. They overextend. They think they're the ones catching UST, but instead, Robbie comes in with that ultimate. And now, AIRREN once again in a very tough spot as Shogo trying to walk up, prevent him from getting any of this farm down. He's got the ultimate now. He's pinging them away. That's going to be already. We've seen 2 plays getting picked up here for Shogo and Daption. I feel like we are on the verge of way more.
And no ultimate on SkyTec, no ultimate on AIRREN. It's so hard for them to try and fight back. Oh, topside now. Vital has to dash away. Like he's doing all right for himself, but it is Porsche winning out on that 1v1. Daption being a bit of a bait to watch Shogo go forward. Already the Gale Force being popped, and the flash out from Shogo in response. The Living Artillery not just there, and barely SLU's bot lane will escape.
Wow, I mean, you just see that. You were talking about the Juggernaut coming through. We have seen Shogo play this a little bit throughout Collegiate, but he is stepping up. He's creating so many problems already for AIRREN and SkyTec. And just as we were praising his bottom lane for SLU, doing just fine through the farm, now it's going to start exploding, right? They were able to push AIRREN around while SkyTec was roaming towards the rest of the map. And getting this shutdown, we haven't talked about the ramifications of this. That is putting a lot more hurt into RobbyBob. He's already got the Eclipse completed at this point, and now he can start jumping on people. He's creating credible threats up against AIRREN, but he's also creating situations where even if he jumps on one of the other members from SLU, none of them are exceedingly tanky. He can actually burst them really heavy.
Yeah, a big
Thanks, Coco.
set of power all throughout here for UST. RobbyBob, Shogo, and Daption, and Porsche all coming up across that first mythic item. They don't have to fight for much so far, because that dragon not spawning for another minute and 30 or so. But if they are put an opportunity to go for a brawl, I would not be surprised to see them try it.
Yeah. Do you know what that Cran comment was about?
No.
Legitimate question.
I actually, yeah, I don't really.
There's clearly something there. We will have to do some investigating. If somebody else can tweet it, we may be able to get it onto the broadcast. You can help everybody else at home, but it is still a spot. There you go.
Oh, big damage denial out of RobbyBob. The stun and the tibbers and everything that Strompest unloads onto him doesn't really do a whole lot.
That's kind of what I was expecting from this Pantheon in the first place, right? It's like, well, here's the burst. Ooh, no burst at all, but it is still going to be some priority coming through for SLU as we start getting ready for this upcoming dragon less than a minute beforehand. But Strompest, pretty sure this means his ultimate will not be available by the time the dragon does actually spawn. And that was a lot of the burst, a lot of the aggressive options from SLU already taken off the table.
Still is AIRREN and SkyTec having an opportunity to get some vision around the Dragon Pit. We now see SkyTec hovering mid. Strompest knows he's not going to have the ulti for the fight, so trying to use Tibbers to the best visibility, gaining mid lane priority. And
He might, actually. Oh, 40 seconds, 40 seconds. We can see it. Yeah, 20 seconds is the amount of time that SLU would have to delay any kind of dragon take. But already, again, we were saying that SLU was moving, but they moved too early. They are now in a spot where they have to respond to all the waves that UST was pushing in. And this is the Dardoch special. This is the Maokai special. Oh, you want to try and go for a flank? Here's a sapling. We know exactly where you are. We're ready for that. We are able to create a situation where our front line is in front of the Kog'Maw. He's able to be safe against all of these different engage tools. And because Dardoch is already here to start things up, look at where AIRREN is. He's not going to be coming in from behind. If you see a flank of Aphelios, I feel like UST has already won the fight.
yeah, and now it is UST gaining that advantage, gaining that angle into the Dragon Pit. They will be able to take this 2-0 unless Winnie and Strompest find an angle in really quickly. It's already secure, but here comes SkyTec, and it is a flank on the Aphelios side. Moonlight Vigil in, and Shogo goes down. It is the trade. Winnie has fallen, but now big damage out of that Kog'Maw passive might be enough for UST to get away. Daption getting hit up by the needlework, knocked up by SkyTec, and it is another kill for St. Louis. They win the fight, but lose the Drake.
Wow, what a crazy envelope coming through from the side of SLU. They get the top side of the fight, but also we were saying, I feel like Aphelios means that we were probably going to see a UST win to that fight, but they were still able to lock down Shogo. But even with all that in mind, Graves, we were seeing a lead going over to SLU before. The gold lead has swapped right on back to UST as the turret goes down in the top lane and UST received the dragon.
And that was a big difference maker there. Vital on the wrong side of the map right now. Gonna have to buy as much time as possible. RobbyBob coming in as well. Is it dash off of cooldown just yet? Okay, buying a little bit more time, but I don't think he's gonna be getting out of this one alive. Yeah, goodbye.
Goodbye. Yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate actually. This is the second time in 2 games where we have seen Vital kind of getting pushed around, going for some of these backs in odd places, and now
No,
they give it to not Daption. Okay,
lived longer than I expected. If I'm gonna be honest.
that's not a good thing, honestly, right? Because that means that guaranteed this Herald is going to be gone. Vital's spending that extra couple of seconds not farming, so as they do catch, we'll take another look at this fight. They go in, the charge instantly into the grand entrance from SkyTec. We were saying how good this guy was at the Rakan, making sure he locks down Shogo, and Shogo does more true damage in this fight than anything else.
We were memeing about it, and it actually ends up happening.
It actually happens.
It's the reverse caster curse.
Vital comes through as well, picks up Daption on the backside, but it is just a bit of a small trade across the board as the Rift Herald is picked up, and that is another neutral objective getting snagged up by UST. They're going to be dropping it here in the mid lane and trying to deliver as much gold into Shogo's pocket as possible. Already has Blade of the Ruined King completed, working towards the Windsuit Rage Blade. And SLU, they're trying to punish this, but Dardoch's here.
There they go. Winnie landed Cyclone onto the bot lane of UST. SkyTec getting blocked up by the Nature's Grasp, and that is the engage for St. Louis. Stopped by UST. Shogo still at full HP. Vital trying to chase him down with the needlework, but will miss the second proc as well. Moonlight Vigil comes out, but here comes RobbyBob onto AIRREN, but AIRREN will gale force forward, and AIRREN will shine fire in onto Shogo, but the Kog'Maw is still going to live. UST somehow survive, and Shogo does not fall.
Every other team in the event backs off here except for SLU. They see Shogo. They see him what looks to be a little bit too far forward, but the collapse coming through for UST is crushing. That's going to be getting them the mid lane turret here as well. Now, as we take a look at this already looked a little bit rough, right? Look at where AIRREN is on the other side. SkyTec tries to come through, but he gets stopped in his tracks by Dardoch. And Shogo is able to find the pocket safety for so much this time here. He's got so much range. He's trying to try and hit people. And most people, they turn around right here, but not SLU as the teleport goes towards the mid lane. AIRREN tries to come in and actually has a great cleanse, but there's just not enough damage at this point. Daption is in the pocket of the pocket that Shogo has created. He's just able to stand and deliver. He teaches these kids math, and they are able to take down every single one of them.
You see, Daption's he's even surprised that they won that fight. Shogo looked like he was in a whole lot of trouble. That's the beauty of this composition.
Yeah,
able to keep that Kog'Maw alive.
That's the tweet right there. You just take that one clip and you put that up. He had that one scheduled actually from before the entire series.
That's how Twitter works.
It was that clip, right? He had that one ready to go. But it is still a spot where now suddenly UST, they were in a small lead, right? They were in a spot where they were really running into a lot of their power spikes between the Pantheon and the Kog'Maw coming onto those 2 item marks. But now they have put SLU in a position where it's only Strompest that can really do anything for the next 10, 15 minutes. And the problem with that, Grapes, is that in less than a minute, the next dragon spawning, SLU shouldn't be able to win a fight there. And then 5 minutes after that, the next dragon is spawning. And if we're giving this 10-minute window, AIRREN's not gonna be able to do a whole lot. Winnie is a little bit past the prime and hasn't even hit the second item yet. And while Vital will be scaling and can do things like Miles did yesterday, that's 10 minutes out, right? There's so much gold that SLU needs in order to reclaim an opportunity in this game.
And I do appreciate, again, we've been talking about these bot laners. AIRREN going for the aggressive play, but now Shogo going to be the target still. A bit single, and the Wild Growth is able to connect. Shogo still alive for so long, but the shutdown finally goes SkyTec's way. The passive taking out AIRREN, but it is RobbyBob going down. Dardoch, the 3rd death on UST's side, as St. Louis find a big fight right as the Baron spawns.
But look at what they're giving up for there, right? This is the kind of thing that we are going to be seeing, and they need to be able to pick up this Baron to make all of this really worth it. They are going to be trying to hit it, but Strompest is so low. He's got the teleport.
Porsche has a pretty good opportunity to do some big damage. Just gonna get caught out with the knockup. The Ragnarok comes through, and it doesn't look like Porsche able to do too much. He will escape just for the time being, but the rest of SLU is still onto the Baron. It is still a win here for the red side as they try their hardest to even up this series.
They are trying so hard. Porsche did such a good delaying action, but it's not going to be enough.
Porsche is somehow still alive. Daption able to throw heals onto the Olaf. It is the Baron secured for SLU, but RobbyBob dashing forward. The target is Strompest, but SkyTec doing a good job to peel. Vital looking to try and pick up a little bit more damage, trying to stifle RobbyBob, but he comes through and picks up the first kill. AIRREN rerouting into the fight. The Moonlight Vigil chunks Daption to half, but Robbie is still going. Robbie is unrelenting, and Vital has to dash away.
Wow.
UST somehow able to find a kill, but the Baron going into St. Louis's pocket.
The tenacity coming out from RobbyBob on this specialty pick to keep going forward there will reward UST with a kill and a turret as well. And now they're going to be the first ones to move over towards the dragon, and they are 2 dragons already to their name. They are halfway towards that dragon soul. They're getting cut out a little bit, and Strompest with no teleport might struggle to actually get here. It's a very awkward situation, and AIRREN gets caught!
Yeah, the cleanse able to get away for now. Vital already chunked down to half HP, and so is Winnie. RobbyBob with a big Comet Spear locks down the Wukong, and now Vital just a couple of autos away from death and will fall to the hands of Shogo. 2 kills UST's way, right as St. Louis had an opportunity.
Wow, it felt like SLU might be in a spot where they can continue fighting this game, but horrible mistake coming through from SLU puts them in a position where they can no longer fight this dragon. They had taken down a couple of kills. They were in a potentially good spot, but SLU looks for every single fight, and this one, they just moved their AD carry too close. He wants to get in close, but he wants to do it on his own terms. Dardoch was able to take them down as a 3rd dragon gets picked up, and they're also pushing towards his bottom lane turret. Like, SLU, we said it was going to be about Strompest trying to find their way back in, but all the gold that they've been trying to get over the past couple minutes has been stopped because they've stopped farming.
Again, just another look at this replay. AIRREN's able to get out, at least for the time being, but it allows the rest of UST to push through.
Exactly, and Vital, even though he's fairly fast, right, the range coming through from Shogo when he gets the lethal tempo.
1v1 here, and it's not going Strompest's way. Pops a stopwatch, but there's no backup for his team. It's Porsche picking up an easy solo.
Bro, just gets caught out there. Not a whole lot left for him to do. And Strompest, right, we kind of take a look. One of the things that we were looking at with some of those plays that happened in the mid lane, look at the farm numbers that are starting to emerge on the side here of SLU. It is nearly 100. It's already at 60 coming through. 60, 100. I didn't take a lot of mana.
Very close.
It's a lot. It's a lot,
Yeah.
right? It's a big difference here for Porsche over Vital. Also a big difference for Shogo over AIRREN. Normally, you're going to have one of those that's, if you're going to have one big gap, the other gap goes in your direction. But the way the SEO have been playing, they're dropping so many side lanes to try and make these fights work. And well, one of them went pretty well. We have to remember the other time they did that was when they got 5-man ace trying to kill Shogo.
And you can see, even though the kills are pretty close, the power that UST has been able to get through their CSing, through the amount of towers that they're able to take down, and now being on Cloud Soul Point, it's just a big advantage overall. 4,000, and again, that Soul spawning in about 3.5 minutes, UST are able to pick up that trade.
And the crucial item to come through, as well as we get it back on the screen here in a sec, is the fact that Shogo has a Wit's End, right?
Yeah.
Now, the Magic Resist is going to really hurt Strompest's ability to actually kill him as SkyTec.
It's gonna get caught out here. Dardoch just throwing the ulti out and starting the fight from a million miles away. And Porsche lands the undertow to secure the first kill. Into the 4v5, the playmaker for SLU is down for the count.
If there's any team that I want to be in this situation, it's SLU. They will go for crazy fights and winning.
Hey, looking for something, not popping the ulti just yet, but it forces the wild growth out of Daption. Crucially, nobody has been able to get onto Shogo, has the red buff. Just gonna be such a problem, even if SLU engage.
RobbyBob, they're looking for an ult.
Here we go. Here comes the fight. Dardoch in onto the back line, and already
there it is!
under fire. The Moonlight Vigil comes out, but RobbyBob says, not today, my friend. Everybody dropping on SLU's side. Shogo still running away from Strompest. That Wit's End barely able to keep him alive until he burns down to the Leandries of Strompest. It's a big fight win for UST. They go 3 for 2, but still have pressure on this top inhibitor tower.
Yeah, Porsche trying to go for this turret as well, and
The ulti's up again.
jeez.
They're gonna land it here on to SkyTec, and Vital is taken very, very low. They do end up killing Porsche, and now SkyTec trying to land a knock-up in onto Dardoch. One more tower shot might have been enough to take him down. So UST have to go and retreat. Back to base they are. And the gold lead surprisingly staying pretty even.
Yeah, it's still around 4K after all of that. I love watching fights that go for so long that you get somebody's ultimate twice in the same fight. But this was a spot, right? They're trying to take a 4v5 out SkyTec. They're trying to go right up to 5. And hello, it is RobbyBob here for some revenge. Jumps onto AIRREN as well and already kills them through. The only thing that's really left is Strompest trying to take down Shogo, which he does to his credit at the very end. But there's just so much back and forth as UST. They're trying to create these pockets of safety as Shogo.
Just too easy for him.
He knows what's going on. He is the one person that SLU does need to kill, but because they're so focused on that, he's got to feel a test for himself now. How do you kill this guy?
I don't think Strompest is going to be the one to kill him now. It's
Not
some
anymore.
other combination of people, and I don't know. The formula is not adding up in my head right now. Shogo's going to live.
We're not
for a
very
long
good at
time.
math, though.
No.
No. 60 and 100 are still basically even at this point. But we have 1 minute left until the last dragon potentially of the game as porsche fights SkyTec.
Yep, that could have been a big flank, but a nice job of the UST top laner to keep his team safe. And here comes another beautiful ultimate out of Dardoch, and Winnie's already chunked about half HP. Grand Starfall comes out, and the front to back is just too good. UST running the floor with SLU as they pick up 2 easy kills and are looking for more.
And they are just running straight on, and wow, that cleanse comes out. That was a weird interaction, but still Robbie looking for anything.
Oh my god, AIRREN almost able to do a lot to turn the fight. They get 1 kill onto Shogo, but it's still 4 strong for UST onto the mid lane inhibitor turret.
That might actually prevent the game from ending right now, but Winnie and SkyTec, the only 2 left alive. They do have some ult to try and prevent anything else from going through, but at the very least, UST can come in, get this inhibitor, and go get the dragon as well. The only thing that SLU can try and do is maybe to go for a teleport with Strompest to try and go for another fight while all these health bars are low.
It's so interesting. It feels like St. Louis is down way more than 5,000 gold. Just the way that the composition for St. Thomas works. Just too difficult here for SLU, and now they lock up Winnie with the polymorph. RobbyBob with the empowered stun will be nearly enough to lock down a single member single-handedly. They go in immediately onto SkyTec, and that is an easy kill going their way. And Winnie's stuck in a 1v4. Will be Strompest, they do get the kill onto Daption, but it is still a 2-for-1 as Winnie falls.
Yeah, it definitely just feels as though UST understands this composition better than SLU does, right? We've seen SLU, they need to go for some of these flanks, which is admittedly very difficult against the Maokai, but also if you just go right on into an Olaf, into a Pantheon, into a Maokai, that is this composition's comfort zone. And SLU, it feels like they're farther behind because compositionally they're playing exactly into UST's strengths.
And Dardoch on this Maokai. It was picked first for a reason, seemingly. These Nature's Grasps just providing so much value in starting these fights. And now St. Louis, they're feeling a little bit desperate here, down very, very much. They gave up the Cloud Soul for free because Winnie was down. Look towards the Baron for a second, and it will be UST actually the one to start it up.
Yeah, and we do see that Winnie is just now respawning. It'll take him a long time to get here. And SLU, they're going for a bit of a wrap. Watch AIRREN.
Has red-white. That normally means don't fight, but UST going to go for the flip. It is Dardoch securing the objective, and they're going to fight straight down onto the solo laner. Strompest trying to find the stun. The QSS out of Shogo keeps him alive. But SkyTec onto the front line, and AIRREN with the Moonlight Vigil is not enough damage to take anybody down just yet. Here's Daption keeping Shogo alive. It is a trade of the marksman, and Winnie has arrived. Strompest trying to lay down as much damage as he possibly can, and Daption has to flash away from the Cyclone of Winnie. It's a triple kill for porsche, and everybody on SLU is down except for their leader, their jungler, Winnie on the Wukong. He will fall. It's a quadra kill for porsche, and UST dominates the fight and will take game 2 of this series.
Both solo laners teleporting over towards the mid lane as well. This game hanging on the thread for so much of it at the beginning, but really so much of this game just goes through SLU playing towards what they normally do, right? They're playing towards trying to go all in on some of these big fights, and Shogo stands tall through so many of them. The rest of his team creates so much space, and I mean, the solo laners, right? We heard that last year, Shogo felt like he won the championship by himself. This is one where RobbyBob and porsche, a quadra kill for the Olaf. RobbyBob with some massive flanks on the Pantheon, did so much work to create space for their AD carry.
And even though it was Shogo being the primary damage dealer, we saw the quadra kill from porsche at the end of it. When Robbie and porsche were able to run down UST, it created disjointed fights. It meant they weren't able to find the advantages that they wanted, and Shogo was able to clean house.
Yeah, great stuff coming through from UST once again. We can see why these guys have been the defending champions going into this one. And as SLU goes down a second time, it's a little bit worrying, right? We saw yesterday that when Maryville was winning, even though they were scrappy games, it still ended up being a 3-0. Do you feel as though we're still going to 5 games?
it's feeling a little bit more down the path that we saw yesterday. However, did like what we saw out of St. Louis in the early game in game 2, but in the late game of game 1, remember, they almost turned that game. So, you know, they're showing strengths here, showing strengths there. They're going to need to put it all together in order to start off this reverse sweep. Game 2 going the way of UST, but it's time to hear from the analyst desk. Digon, take it away.
Thank you very much, Grapes. Joushi, 2-0. St. Thomas taking the lead here in our semifinals. And again, not the direct path that we thought, as SLU started off pretty well. Things going their way, and then we start seeing some dominance from UST after some mistakes.
I mean, this has been a brawl of a series so far, which I guess we can kind of expect out of collegiate, but it was a good start in the sense that I actually thought that SLU was playing towards their win con pretty well. With the Annie Wukong mid-jungle duo, that made sense to me. It's just later in the game, few engages went wayward. I feel like the Maokai is such a problem at the later stages of the fight when you're playing immobile carries, and Dardoch just created so much space for the rest of UST to play around.
Yeah, I thought it was so funny how I talked to Alorum and he called Annie a noob champ, and then Strompest got off to that start like immediately after. I would expect maybe them to take that one away moving forward, but I mean, UST, it did look like a more convincing game despite the early game struggles that they had. Just in the team fights, I think they executed more cleanly than their opponents, and it meant that they were able to close out in a more efficient fashion.
Also, before we dive into our first replay at 8 minutes, you felt strongly about Gwen as like in the top lane, but here's the skirmish early on where, hey, maybe things aren't as bad as they seem.
So this play for St. Thomas, the idea is to use the Pantheon ult to beat the Annie here and to get the kill. The Vital does a really nice job of buying time with Winnie. Strompest already had kills at this point, fully commits, blows up RobbyBob, and then they even get a bonus kill on the back half. Again, when I see Wukong Annie, I want teams to play through those 2 picks early. I thought this was really well done by SLU. It netted them the first Rift Herald. I thought it was a mistake for UST to even contest that as 3 because the Annie plus the Wukong should be stronger. They failed thanks to Vital buying time. And again, SLU, they had a gold lead and they had tempo in this game.
And I think plays like that highlight how important this jungle matchup is in this series, right? We already talked about both Dardoch and Winnie extensively, but in game number 1, it was Dardoch that had the early plays, got UST off to a big lead. This time around, Winnie and Strompest together, really getting a lot done, putting themselves in a great position. So, I mean, moving into game number 3, this early game jungle matchup is going to be everything.
Yeah, well, before we get to that, at 17 minutes, Shogo doing the Shogo show thing on the Kog'Maw. Definitely making the difference here, Cubby.
I gotta say, once we get this replay going, Dardoch, the Maokai ult to stymie SkyTec's Rakan engage, I think was really the big difference in this fight. And when Shogo has tools around him, I mean, he even said it in the interview, and this is where I give praise to Shogo, because yeah, he likes to talk a big game, but he also backs it up. He's like, I'm someone that is demanding, I want to carry, but when I'm given the tools, I can make it happen. That's what he did in this fight.
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, it was just such a clean kite from the side of UST, able to stay alive. And I mean, that was the story for the most part. 80 carries that were able to stay alive were able to get it done, Cubby.
Yeah, I mean, like for me, big thing with this fight, watch Dardoch on when we actually like get this rolling. Watch this ult right here. He's able to actually freeze SkyTec. That enables Shogo to actually flash back. And because of this, Strompest was never able to combo on the Annie. So once Shogo is able to actually buy space, you can see the entirety of the team kiting out around him. And for me, the big mistake here was that AIRREN, once he gets jumped on by the Pantheon, fully commits, tries to take down the Kog'Maw, just not able to happen. And just the ability for UST, again, open up space for Shogo. I thought they played so well as a team here to make sure that Shogo was comfy and was able to actually use the Kog'Maw when his W was up to the full extent.
You know, Kog'Maw banned early on by the squad, but still coming back on in. And the fact that Shogo pulls it out in a composition where both of you guys are like, I don't know if Kog'Maw's great here. You could have gone with something else. And then still popping off, goes back to the star power that he's been using all year long, calling out his name, being like, I'm the reason why we won. And again, being one of the main driving forces here.
Look, Shogo knows he's got a target on his back, right? So even when he dies, passive value, baby. That's the Kog'Maw right there.
I mean, there's a few times where he's just extending the game, right? They're able to stack up gold. Yeah. He goes down in those fights so that they can't take any structures afterwards. And, you know, just making sure that he's checking into that economics class that you highlighted in the pre-show, right?
Another pick that I think caught us by surprise was that RobbyBob, Pantheon in the mid lane. We saw cleaned up a couple of fights there at the end, but how did we feel it fit in the composition overall?
Yeah, ironically, I feel like the Pantheon was actually stronger later game than it was early. UST struggled to really get things going, but the chase downs, as you said, were great.
This champion with Black Cleaver is actually disgusting. And like the ability for them, like Gwen wants to side, so you can always attack the Gwen side with the Pantheon if you are able to sync that up. I think that once UST get ahead, like it's a pick where once you start winning the game, you can win harder, just given how quickly he can snowball the game with his ultimate. So, yeah, I mean, it didn't get off to the start that they wanted, but when everyone's jumping at a Pantheon, he gets so much value from Cleaver and just his abilities. Like
and the double point clicks too. Like so hard to play against even later on in the game. So
Justin, looks like SLU will select blue side now. So they will be swapping it up after the surprise earlier by going red side. What do we think? First thoughts.
I mean, to me, it just, I think, signals that, hey, they want to get counter pick, or their priority pick, I should say, in the bottom lane. Last time around, they first picked Jinx. A lot more AD carry bans this time. They still got the Aphelios, but AIRREN looking a little less comfortable. I think they just want their ideal champion to get AIRREN going, because we sort of highlighted it earlier on. This bot lane matchup is everything. AIRREN and Shogo are the damage carries of the team. Sure, Winnie and Dardoch in many ways might be the leader of the heart, but they're the ones that are going to get things done. So that matchup is going to be everything alongside that jungle.
I would actually switch things up for jungle prio. I would try and take Maokai away. I think given the champs that they're trying to execute, like Jinx, Aphelios, it's really tough to actually play that into a Maokai. So maybe if they're able to deny that themselves, they can open up a lot more space.
Was banned in game 1 by UST when they were on the red side. So that is an interesting thing to keep our eyes on.
All right, well, match point coming up here for the defending champs. We'll see if SLU can bounce back after the break. See you in a bit.
But now Strompest on the way, has the flash, has the timbers, and will find his target straight onto RobbyBob. He's on a killing spree. Moonlight Vigil comes out, but here comes RobbyBob onto AIRREN. But AIRREN will Gale Force forward, and AIRREN will shine fire in onto Shogo. But the Kog'Maw is still going to live.
Oh my God, Shogo! Oh my God! Oh my goodness!
Dardoch securing the objective, and they're going to fight straight down onto the solo laner. Strompest trying to find the stun. The QSS out of Shogo keeps him alive. But SkyTec onto the front line, and AIRREN with the Moonlight Vigil is not enough damage to take anybody down just yet. And everybody on SLU is down except for their leader, their jungler, winning on the Wukong. He will fall. It's a quadra kill for Porsche, and UST dominates the fight and will take game 2 of this series.